my name's Nello Luca. I work at Mount Charlotte, one of the KCGM, or the only KCGM underground mine on the Golden Mile. I've worked for KCGM for approximately 24 years, all up. Normal day starts at about 5:30. Most of the workers start arriving at about 5:30 for day shift, 6:30 for a night shift. Make their way into the clean side of the change room, get undressed, move across to the dirty side, get changed into your work clothes. The reason we wear gumboots, most of us wear gumboots because it's quite wet underground. You've got water you've got to go through, sometimes above the top of the gumboot. The vehicle operators, truck drivers, loader drivers generally will wear leather boots. Your self-rescuer, which is this box I'm wearing on the side here, that's your main rescue device if we have a fire underground or an outbreak of gas. It'll generate oxygen. Basically you breathe into it. It's a exothermic reaction. There's a chemical inside called soda lime, and it strips the carbon dioxide out of your breath as you breathe out, and as you breathe back in again it's turned it back into oxygen, and it'll last for 10-15 minutes at high exertion rate. Cap lamp, which is on the top of the helmet here, everybody's got to have one to go underground. There's basically no lights underground, so you need to work, provide your own light, and it's a bit similar to working by torchlight. There's also a backup lamp in there, so if the main lamp fails, you've got a backup so that you can get to a place where you can be rescued. Make your way out of the dirty side into the cap lamp room where you pick up your self-rescuer and your cap lamp. Going past the breathalyzer, of course, we are breathalyzed at the start of every shift, and then into the muster room.
Hi, my name is Ron Ellis. I'm the underground mine manager for KCGM, and I look after the Mount Charlotte operations. And what a lot of people actually don't get to see is actually what's happening beneath the surface. We're currently standing in the Cassidy headframe. It's the last operating in the Golden Mile. It's an iconic operation. You literally can't go past Kalgoorlie without looking at this beautiful red headframe. Mount Charlotte itself is a 1.2 million tonne per annum ore operation and has approximately 140 people, both men and women. Access to the mine is both via this shaft, but also too via the super pit. So there is a decline and a tunnel that connects us to the super pit. And the decline is predominantly used to truck the ore from underground below us to the actual pit, which then gets fed into the mill.
Once you arrive at the muster room, generally check to see if the tag board's been opened after blasting from the previous shift. No blasting can take place underground until that tag board is cleared. The only people that will remain on the tag board is actually the blasting crew doing the firing run. If it is, you'll place your tag on the board, which is basically an identification card you put on the tag board, and that identifies who's underground. Take a seat in the muster room and just grab a coffee and wait for the start of the shift. At 6 o'clock, the shift bosses, there's two shift bosses that run the shift, will take control of the crew and basically go through the day's activities, allocating work to the individuals and also allocating work to the machines, whether it's the jumbos, loaders, trucks, whatever it may be. That meeting takes approximately 15 minutes, and as part of that we'll also have a safety meeting. If there's any concerns from the previous 24 hours, they'll be raised. Any hazards identified in the past 24 hours will be read out and discussed with the crew. And once everybody's satisfied and they know what they're doing, the shift bosses will basically tell everybody time to go to work, have a safe shift. And from the muster room, they'll make their way out. If they haven't tagged on yet, they will tag onto the tag board, make their way to the shaft, which is, as you can see behind me, and wait at the brace until the platman will take control of the cage. Platman's the man delegated during the shift to be in control of the cage. He'll open the gates, everybody will enter the cage and be delivered to the level closest to where you're working.
My name's Rex Astran. I'm a winder driver at KCGM, driving the Cassidy winder. This shaft is 1,200 metres deep. So we're coming down, we'll put the camera onto the 28 level, and there's the cage there coming down. I just got to line up the handhold in the cage with the top rail on the gate, pull the brake on, and I give him one bell. He won't get out of the cage until I give him one bell that it's all safe. So now he's getting out of the cage now because he knows it's all safe. Those bells that you just heard, they are a code of signals that are the same for all over Australia. Days before radios and all that, what you used to do was communicate the driver through like Morse code in these bells. But there's lots of different ways to ring bells. You can ring 3 slow bells, which means come up slow. Or you could ring 3 fast bells, which means go up fast. So I work in levels from the surface down, so I'm going down to the 28 level. A good bell ringer makes the job very easy. It's the best job on the mine, I reckon. You've got all the good working conditions and yeah, you don't have to go down underground.
Currently we run 8 trucks underground, 6 60-tonners and 2 50-tonners. Jumbo operators will also be picked up by their nippers. Nipper is off-sider to the jumbo. They will deliver them to their machines and they will commence either bolting, meshing, boring a face or whatever part of the cycle they're into.
My name is Pádraig Loughlin, go by the nickname Irish, and I'm a jumbo operator. As you can see, my day is going to be dealing with this machine next to me, which is a jumbo, and my job is to firstly put in all this ground support. The most important part of my job, as far as I'm concerned, is getting this right, because if this isn't right, advancing forward isn't going to help much if this tends to fail. And then I head into here and I work out the offsets and work out what serve I want in general in the direction I need to advance this drive. And there's certain ways you mark it up that gives you certain spacings on your blast holes. And after so many holes bored into a face, charge up, rock up, grab a plan off me, and I pull back and then they come in and charge it with explosives.
Rob Degenart, shot firer. Today we've just been bagging and charging upper part of the stope, which entails bagging the holes, making the dets up, dropping the dets and primers down the hole, and then topping them up with antfo. The charge up roll is not a bad roll because you get a bit of a variety, but it is a fairly physical job.
Hi, my name's Steve Davis. I am an underground shift supervisor at the Mount Charlotte operations. I drive around making sure that all the operators across the whole crew are working safely and working as per the procedure. And one thing I will say, after 24 years in mining, that the only certainty in mining is uncertainty, and we are problem solving constantly. Obviously we've got to get a lot of our ore up out of the mine. The bogger comes along, it's basically a front end loader.
Hi, I'm Gavin, I'm a remote bogger operator. It's easy to use, it's good vision with the cameras. You've got 3 cameras on the bogger, a rear, a front camera and a side camera, and just makes it a hell of a lot easier and it's a hell of a lot safer. And bog buckets out of there and transfer it back to the stockpile, fill the stockpile up and go on to the next stope.
Hello, I'm David Segee and I'm the Underground Exploration Project Geologist at Mount Charlotte. A day in the life for me involves managing our 2 underground diamond drill rigs. They're basically collecting the sample core that you see behind us that we analyse and then get the gold results for to determine where we're going to mine next. The geological information that we can get from the rocks we basically put into a database. So we record the stratigraphy, the lithology, that's basically just the different rock types, and from that we can determine if the rock is going to be gold bearing or not. It's a lot easier to see the rock fabrics as well as the minerals inside the rock when it's wet as opposed to being dry. It starts with us. We have to find the gold deposit, so you need to do your drilling, get the assays back and basically work out whether it's going to be economic at various different stages throughout the mining project. Because without the gold, then there's obviously no point in having the mine. So you really get to add value through the drilling that we do by finding more gold. Yeah, it's really rewarding.
Hi, my name's Shalita Pascoe. I'm a drill and blast engineer from Mount Charlotte. At the moment we are sitting in a refuge chamber. Refuge chambers are used in case of emergencies and they effectively remove all staff from dangerous situations. In the event of an emergency, if people were to come to refuge chambers, they could stay in here from anywhere for 2 hours up to a couple days if needed, And effectively, once you come in, you close the door behind you. It's completely sufficient. There is water, toilet facilities, and we use a range of chemicals to help keep the oxygen there, depending on the amount of people that we have. So the system behind us here has a heap of scrubbers, and that's all chemical reaction, and we also have oxygen bottles. And there's instructions as soon as you come in to know what to do, and we effectively go from there.
My name's Brodie Lance, I'm the Underground Engineering Superintendent. In my role in particular, I coordinate a multitude of activities between the Survey Department, the Geotechnical Department and the Engineering. In my opinion, to have a successful operation, you need everyone to work together, and that's absolutely what happens here at Mount Charlotte. And that starts from anyone from the cleaners to the admin to the technical team that I guess lead and instruct the operations. So we're talking about surveyors, geotechs, geos, mining engineers across drill and blast and planning, and that then leads into the operational guys. We're talking about boggers, bog operators, nippers, truck drivers, service crew, charge up, jumbo operators, long hole drillers, and the guys that run our plats and they maintain the pumps, and the shaft guys, the winder operators. And that all would be nothing without the maintenance team. So if you don't have your fitters and your sparkies and your auto sparkies, and the management, I guess, coordinating their activity, you don't have the mix you need for a successful operation. And it is a credit to the team here that everyone that's involved, everyone is a really important cog in the big wheel that is Mount Charlotte, and it's a credit that we keep this mine running, and it has been running successfully for 50 odd years.
At the end of the shift, the mine needs to be cleared before firing time. We have a 15-minute window for firing or blasting of the headings. So all personnel will make their way back to the plats or platforms. The cage will arrive, pick them up and bring them back to the surface. Once on the surface, they will make their way back to the muster room, handing in their pre-starts, their timesheets, and also, more importantly, taking their tags off the tag board. If there's any information that needs to be passed to the supervisor, they will stop and speak to the supervisor and pass that information on, such as any hazards, any problems with machinery or any problems in the headings that needs to be passed on to the following shift. Once they're handed their timesheet in, they'll make their way into the lamp room, hand back their self-rescuer and their cap lamp, back into the dirty side, take your dirty clothes off, and then into the clean side, dry, get changed into your street clothes and out the gate.